This is the CBS Evening News. Susan Spencer reporting. Good evening. In much of the country again today, the sun beat down and the temperature shot up. And with it came alarming predictions of what the continuing drought will mean on the farm and in the grocery store. As Robert Shackney reports, even in the few places where it actually rained this weekend, it may already be too late for the crops.
As much as 2 to 3 inches in parts of Iowa and Kansas were still not nearly enough to change the gloomy picture in the Farm Belt. And experts believe that the government's early crop forecast, to be made public day after tomorrow, will show things are not just bad, they're terrible.
They're going to show corn down about 35%, wheat and soybeans down about 25%.
Agriculture consultant Schnitker says that bad as things are now, they'll grow worse if the drought continues into August. The expected corn and soybean harvest could be cut in half, a nearly unprecedented loss.
It's the biggest one in modern history, almost as serious as back in the 1930s, and it's big enough to use up in a single year all of the big surpluses that we've had.
Farmers are the first to suffer the effects of the drought. Crops withering in the field, and for lack of feed, the forced sale of livestock for early slaughter. For consumers, retail food prices are expected to rise slightly this year, 1 to 2%, and by next year by a lot more.
The impact on food prices in 1989 will be about 7 to 8% at retail as the effects of the grain shortage work their way into the beef, pork, and poultry sector, giving us higher meat prices at the supermarket.
For farmers in the Great Plains, the problem is not next year, but this year's crop losses. Those losses have now reached the point that this week Congress will attempt to draw up and possibly to pass a multi-billion-dollar drought relief law, a law the administration is expected to endorse and the president to sign. Robert Shackney, CBS News, Washington.
Just a week from tonight, the Democrats will be in Atlanta, getting ready for what they hope will be a triumphant convention. But for what some fear could turn very nasty. The outcome rests on two men, the likely nominee, Michael Dukakis, and the man who just keeps on running, Jesse Jackson. Betsy Aaron reports.
There never was a plan to stop this presidential crusade. The prize Jackson says he's after is a place for himself and for his supporters in the mainstream of the Democratic Party.
Every issue that we choose to raise, whether it is a minority plank or a majority plank, the vice presidency itself can be dealt with from the podium or from the floor in the convention. Supported by nearly 1,200 Jackson delegates. With that kind of power, Jackson is quick to dispute any talk of a walkout. It would not be to our advantage to walk out. The threat is not that we might walk out, the threat is that we are going to stay. Creative tension is what he calls this process, a battle for leverage at the convention. It's about power, it's about the future of the Democratic Party, and it's about those 1,157 Jackson delegates and what they'll decide to do after the convention.
It'll be up to Jesse as far as how much of a fight he wants to wage there. After Atlanta, though, it'll be up to us to see how hard we work at home for Dukakis.
This is not the politics of go along to get along.
That's the crux of the Dukakis problem. Jackson's accumulated close to 7 million votes in the primaries, votes needed in November for a Dukakis win. That's the kind of power that Dukakis can't ignore.
It certainly doesn't mean that there's some kind of diabolical plot to be disruptive or to work against the unity of the party.
And according to a CBS News survey of delegates, even the Dukakis delegates agree with Jackson positions on the key economic positions that Jackson wants to bring to the floor. Jackson clearly has the clout, but has not figured out how to best use it yet. Michael Dukakis must figure out a way to deal with Jesse Jackson. No one ever said it would be easy. Betsy Aaron, CBS News, San Francisco.
Jackie Presser, head of the embattled Teamsters Union, died last night after a long illness. He was 61. Presser was re-elected union president in May, just days after he was indicted on charges of embezzling union dues. As Richard Schlesinger reports, controversy was no stranger to Jackie Presser.
In his career with the nation's largest labor union, Jackie Presser attracted both politicians and prosecutors.
I believe this entire country is going to miss a great man. Jackie Presser, number one, was a great American, great humanitarian, certainly a great union leader. And best of all, he's been a great friend to an awful lot of people.
He became a friend of the Reagan administration when he engineered a Teamsters endorsement of Ronald Reagan in 1980. As a reward, Presser was named Labor co-chairman for Mr. Reagan's inaugural. But legal problems dogged Presser just as they dogged his predecessors. Many believe Presser, like his predecessors, had ties to organized crime.
He was someone who stayed loyal to the organized crime forces that really ran the union. That's how he got to be president.
In 1986, Presser was charged with siphoning off $700,000 from the Cleveland local and paying so-called ghost employees who were on the payroll but did no work. Then, last month, federal prosecutors, saying the Teamsters Union had made a devil's pact with the mob, filed a racketeering suit to remove the entire executive committee and place the union in the hands of a trustee. Presser's death has almost no effect on that case, according to the federal prosecutor who filed it.
The complaint has 18 defendants who were members of the board of the Teamsters Union. Now there are 17 defendants.
And the Teamsters Union is still considered by Giuliani to be controlled by the mob, a charge that will be argued in court even without Jackie Presser. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, New York.
Rescue workers today pulled 3 more bodies from the rubble of that collapsed department store in Brownsville, Texas, putting the known death toll now at 14. Police said today there are, quote, no additional signs of life in the debris. The search, however, will continue through the night. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, the presidential election in Mexico. The government still hasn't said officially who won. And later on, vacationers take to the road, the railroad, part of our Inside Sunday report.
Post Fruit and Fiber presents new Cinnamon Apple Crisp, and a Fruit and Fiber cereal fanatic who never forgets our name.
Right, never. Hey, this is new. Chunks of really crisp apple, cinnamon, it's fruit and...
Post Fruit and Fiber cereal introduces Cinnamon Apple Crisp with crisp, delicious apples, cinnamon, and high-fiber flakes.
Well, no wonder I forgot. This new taste is terrific.
New Cinnamon Apple Crisp Fruit and Fiber. Tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
Captain, this itchy rash is driving me crazy.
Why didn't you use the Cord-Aid?
Cord-Aid goes beneath the skin to actually heal itches and rashes.
You know, itches and rashes won't last if you use Cord-Aid first.
It's time once again for Kinko's 2.5-cent copy sale. You pay just 2.5 cents each for white letter-size copies. We'll be open 24 hours a day for this 1-week only sale. Get your 2.5-cent copies at Kinko's, the copy center.
I used to think that entering the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes wasn't very important.
Until I won us $1 million.
Now it's more important than ever for you to enter the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes, because you can win $10 million. And if you hurry, there's a whole other $1 million you can win if your lucky number appears on TV this August 11th. So look for the house and enter the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes right away.
Come on, send it in.
Mexico voted to elect a new president on Wednesday, but the controversy over the choice goes on. Today, there was a mass protest in downtown Los Angeles by supporters of the opposition parties, marchers denouncing the election's conduct. The official results were to be announced today, but as David Dow reports, those results are yet to come.
At 300 district offices, they rechecked the vote count from Mexico's most hotly contested election ever. Opposition supporters watched for irregularities while soldiers stood guard outside. Meanwhile, the nation's Electoral Commission convened for an expected announcement of the final results. But by mid-afternoon, the only totals announced were for 4 seats in the nation's Congress, and 2 of those returns were promptly challenged. In an election already marred by fraud charges against the government, critics cautioned that further delays would simply add to a credibility problem.
It's going to confirm the general thinking of the people in Mexico that this process is not really accurate.
Carlos Salinas de Gortari, presidential candidate of the ruling PRI party, has already claimed victory in the election. Partial returns released earlier showed him leading with the slimmest majority in his party's history, with less than 49% of the vote. But last night, Cuauhtemoc Cardenas, candidate of a center-left coalition, also claimed victory, citing his own count and what he said were sources within the government. At the same time, Manuel Cloutier mobilized tens of thousands of his conservative PAN party supporters in Mexico City's main plaza to protest alleged fraud and call them to acts of civil resistance. Almost immediately, there were reports of coordinated actions in the nation's north, the blockage of 2 international bridges, blockades of the Pan American Highway, part of an electoral drama probably never envisioned by a party that's run this country for nearly 60 years. David Dow, CBS News, Mexico City.
Iran's foreign minister left Tehran today for New York. He'll be on hand for Tuesday's UN Security Council meeting on the U.S. downing of that Iranian jetliner last Sunday. Today, the U.S. and Iran sent condolences to the United Arab Emirates. 17 of its citizens were among the 290 killed aboard the plane over the Persian Gulf. Alan Pizzi has a report now on what it's like on the Gulf a week later.
The frigate Halliburton, which a few days ago was unable to communicate coherently with press helicopters within sight of the warship, was today as crisp and sharp as the crease on a full-dress uniform.
Bravo Whiskey, U.S. Navy. My intention, sir, is to put you in a clockwise circuit around my vessel at distance, over.
The directions were so precise, even the helicopter pilot was impressed.
They've obviously been told to smarten their act up, haven't they? Incredibly different than the normal operation.
The Halliburton spends her time cruising the tanker lanes of the southern Gulf, lanes which few ships have braved since the missile attack on the Iranian jetliner last Sunday. With the sound and fury over the downing of Flight 655 beginning to fade, the Gulf tanker war looks like it's settling back into its normal pattern of tit-for-tat strikes against shipping. And that means more challenges for warships in the Gulf. Iran and Iraq have each attacked ships in the last few days. The U.S. Navy's rules of engagement allow its warships to assist vessels under attack. The question now is whether the U.S. Navy will be gun-shy in the wake of the mistake with the Iranian airliner. Open sea lanes and the free flow of oil were the stated reasons for the U.S. naval presence in the Gulf, and the oil is still flowing. The field this ship was loading from is partly owned by Iran, but that doesn't mean the tanker is immune from attack. The Iranians have been known to hit their own ships. It's probably a good thing that the U.S. Navy radio communication is improving, because the American Gulf Fleet will undoubtedly be tested again. Alan Pizzi, CBS News in the Gulf.
I can't marry you.
Why? I'm only 6 years younger.
Oh, I don't care about that.
What do you care about? My hair? My tie?
Your breakfast.
This?
Yeah, it's old-fashioned.
Hey, I'm an old guy.
All those years of sugar and preservatives.
You're right.
Nutri-Grain whole wheat flakes. No sugar added, no preservatives.
That's good. Now will you marry me?
I thought you were 5 years younger.
Dedicated to the ones we love. I stained this last year, and it's fading already. Why?
You didn't protect it with Thompson's Water Seal stain, the only stain that contains Thompson's Water Seal. It protects the color in the wood better than the leading brand. Thompson's Water Seal stain. Beauty that lasts at last.
Mom sure make life easier. Mine did. Like another mom, Phillips Milk of Magnesia. Phillips Mom helps your body work naturally for easy overnight relief. Even has this convenient dosage cup. Nobody treats you better than Mom.
For all your pet means to you, shouldn't you give him and your family protection against fleas and ticks? You can with a 2-in-1 flea and tick collar from Hearts, the collar that's been protecting your pet for years. And the Hearts 2-in-1 collar kills fleas and ticks on your dog or cat for up to 5 months. It even works when wet. So get the collar that really works, because no pet should go anywhere without Hearts protection. The Hearts 2-in-1 collar, protection against fleas and ticks.
Soviet leader Gorbachev travels to Poland tomorrow, and a meeting later in the week of the Warsaw Pact nations. The meeting will be the first since the Soviet Communist Party conference endorsed Gorbachev's reforms. But in at least one of those pact nations, Czechoslovakia, people are not convinced that those reforms are going to help them. Doug Snell has the story.
There may be only one Soviet tank in the streets of Prague today,
But the people of Czechoslovakia are now in the 20th year of ruthless domination by the Soviet Union. 20 years in which the spirit of the people has been lost in the shadow of the star. The Czechs were a passionate people, but they have had to learn to hide their outrage behind humor and cloak their protests between the lines of everyday conversation.
Next to perestroika, one of the most often heard words is cynicism. It describes the sentiments of people who cried out for reforms 20 years ago and were not just ignored, but were invaded.
The Soviet Union has run Czechoslovakia its own way ever since.
We can't avoid it. Or else we could create a situation like Poland in 1980. Therefore we must solve it. There's no other way, just perestroika.
The Soviet invasion of 1968 was just the beginning of a process, they say, that is being controlled today by a new breed of sober, clear-eyed Soviet man.
Viktor Mironenko, the first secretary of the Young Communist League.
Armed with smiles and a smooth new vocabulary, these young Russians, disciples of Mikhail Gorbachev, preach socialist fraternity and openness.
I think we feel the same as in 68.
This ceremony is part of the Czech-Soviet Friendship Festival, an event that officially sanctions the precise cadence of Czech military brass and the crudest form of Soviet copycat rock. Glasnost brought fast food behind the Iron Curtain, but baseball's been here for 20 years. Glasnost brought Prague's Kovo team a little help from the West this year, but the new American assistant coach arrived too late to save this doubleheader. While the Soviets are rewriting the rule book for the future of communism, the Czechs are stuck in the old ways and wary of perestroika. Doug Tennell, CBS News, Prague.
The U.S. Air Force plane designed to be capable of a nuclear attack against the Soviet Union may not be all that capable. Congressional and administration officials said today the B-1 bomber has design flaws which could prevent it from carrying out its mission. In response, the Air Force admits the plane has limitations but says it still can perform that mission.
A slow hand. He's got a face that I love to touch.
Introducing the new Schick Ultrex Plus. Its pivoting head has a lubricating comfort strip and one-push cleaning to shave you smoother than ever.
A touch this easy makes me understand. When it comes to love, I want a slow
New Schick Ultrex Plus, the easy touch for the ultimate shave.
Now for indigestion, gas, introducing new Extra Strength Malox Plus. It neutralizes more than any leading antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as new Extra Strength Malox Plus.
On their vacation, they had everything planned. Everything except this. So don't carry cash. Carry American Express traveler's checks. Don't leave home without them.
If the guys who made women's insoles had to wear women's shoes, they'd make a very different insole. Look who has. New odor eaters for women. The first insole designed for a woman's shoe to cushion without crowding.
Ordinary insoles are shaped like men's shoes, but odor eaters for women are tapered at the toe so they can't crowd, and shaped and contoured to cushion where your foot needs it most.
There's no tightness, and shoes stay fresh and odor-free.
New odor eaters for women. Cushions without crowding.
Millions of Americans are away from home tonight, sleeping in strange beds in unfamiliar places, and loving it. Tonight on Inside Sunday, the great American vacation and how it's changing. For one thing, vacation getaways are getting shorter. Picture this, 8-year-old Teresa Dubson family on their first trip to Washington, taking in the sights, taking on the crowds, taking everything but their time.
We'll be here 4 days.
I don't like walking, but otherwise I'd like it.
But millions of Americans are following in their footsteps. today's typical family vacation is fun on a tight schedule. In the mid-70s, the average getaway lasted a week. Last year, it was just 5 nights. Back then, only 37% of all pleasure trips were of the weekend or long weekend variety. Today, those abbreviated breaks account for almost half of all vacations.
More and more women are working, which means that you have these dual income families. They have more money to travel, but they have less time, and there's conflicting schedules, and it's more difficult to get away.
I mean, you can easily rent boats in the area.
I just don't want a lot of tourists.
Difficult and sometimes challenging.
Ah, you sold out.
Last weekend we went to Sun Valley, Idaho. This weekend we're going to try to go up and sit on a lake, maybe do some fishing.
Responding to the new demands, travel agents have dropped the old slow boat to China idea, instead promoting less time-consuming fun.
City packages, we have also our Caribbean packages are all for 3 days and 3 nights, and we really have, because of that, we have made adjustments.
And the compact vacation is making a big splash at hotels.
Let Marriott show you what a summer weekend can really be.
Many chains now offer special packages to keep rooms filled with fun seekers over the weekend when business travel drops off. It's all very 1980s efficient, but for people who grew up with the annual 2 to 3 week big production family vacation, is 2 or 3 days really a vacation?
Oh, definitely.
Any time away from work's a vacation.
Not everyone's so sure. Time was a vacation short or long meant piling into the family car or hopping on a plane. Now more and more travelers are discovering an alternative, rediscovering it actually. Lynn Brown reports on the growing popularity of the road less traveled by.
Charles Hurd of New Jersey wanted his family to see the country, but not by plane. Like an increasing number of Americans, he picked the train.
Over! You can't see it in an airplane. Nothing but clouds.
The Hurds aren't the only ones taking the train this year. Rail travel is at an all-time high, with more than 10 million people traveling by train so far this year, up 8% over last year. In fact, it's so popular, it's almost impossible to book sleeping accommodations until the fall. Despite that, the slow pace and spectacular views are a magnet for travelers.
See the country, take our time, relax a little bit, and maybe even some subtle fear of flying. I don't know. That might even be in there.
And Amtrak, which runs nationwide passenger service, is profiting from its newfound popularity.
Well, we are prospering. We're doing extraordinarily well on a financial basis.
But there is a downside. The increased popularity has led to reservation problems, and on some trains, serious overcrowding. The biggest problem is in the Northeast, where weekend train travel can turn into a nightmare.
Sometimes you end up sitting in the aisle, especially on holiday weekends.
I mean, I've had times when I had to sit on the floor with the 2 kids.
And on long-distance trains in the West, it's tough to find a bed to sleep in.
You have to make reservations for sleeping quarters. It's quite hard to find.
Critics say Amtrak isn't equipped to handle the demand.
The time has come to make up our minds that we need to invest, in railroads the way Europe has been investing in railroads since the Second World War.
But there is light at the end of the tunnel. Amtrak has found money to buy 50 new railroad cars, which will go into service over the next 15 months. Hopefully, that will ease some of its overcrowding and reservation problems and help keep its increasing ridership on track. Lynn Brown, CBS News, New York.
If trains have more passengers these days, so do ships. Victoria Corderi reports on how, more and more, the cruise ship industry is winning the competition for tourist dollars.
Every weekend at the Port of Miami, it's bon voyage for thousands of vacationers heading to the Caribbean and other points south. Television's Love Boat may have been canceled, but the industry it helped jumpstart a decade ago is flourishing.
I saw it on the Love Boat pretty much, and it looked like a lot of fun. I just said I want to try it.
More than 3 million other Americans are also expected to try it this year. Cruising has become the fastest growing segment of the vacation industry.
What's happened in recent years is that
cruising has become affordable to the masses of Americans.
Passenger ships are resurfacing after years of hardship. Superliners lost their popularity in the late 50s when jet travel made ocean transportation obsolete. The industry was reborn in the mid-70s when it began promoting a cruise as a vacation in itself, a sort of floating resort that could fit into a middle-class budget.
If they could see you now out on a fun ship cruise.
Carnival Cruises is widely credited with bringing that message to middle America by saturating national airwaves in the past few years.
10 years ago, we were all too small to be able to do network television advertising or do the kinds of things that could reach the mass market, and we're reaching them today.
And increased bookings aren't the only reason this booming industry can afford network television advertising.
Cruise ships carry American passengers from American ports. However, most do not have to pay American corporate taxes or union wages because they are officially registered in foreign countries. That translates to lower costs and hefty profits.
Otherwise, industry officials say the average $1,500 to $2,000 one-week cruise might cost several times that much, outpricing passengers such as Wilma Parker.
Well, we did think it was out of reach years ago, but I don't think so anymore. And I think it's a good family vacation to take the whole family on.
Just what the cruise industry wants to hear as it builds 16 new ships within the next 2 years. What's more, only 5% of the American public have gone to sea, so the market is virtually untapped, leading cruise executives to forecast continued high tides of bookings and profits. Victoria Corderi, CBS News, St. Thomas.
The travel industry predicts its business will be sizzling this summer. It expects 113 million lucky Americans to go away on vacation. That would be a 3% increase over last summer and an all-time record. That's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather will be here tomorrow, and later on tonight, Bill Plant with the CBS Sunday Night News. I'm Susan Spencer, and I will see you next week from the Democratic National Convention in Atlanta. Good night.
Mom, hi. Listen to this. Well, of course you hardly hear anything. It's my new Whirlpool dishwasher. Yes, it's on. Oh, it cleans great. Everything just gleams. And it's so quiet, we won't have to shout anymore. Mom, what's all that noise? Oh, it's your dishwasher.
We're making your world a little easier. Whirlpool.
Tum, 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 tum. Into the land of heartburn comes the first liquid antacid without that liquid antacid taste. Finally, a really good tasting liquid that puts out the fire and relieves the pain of heartburn. New Tums Liquid. Strong medicine with a fresh, minty taste. Tums Liquid. It really works, and it really tastes good. Tums.
This man once had a heart attack. Since then, his doctor prescribed exercise, the right foods, and Bayer aspirin. Studies show aspirin can help prevent a second heart attack. Ask your doctor.
I love you, Dad.
Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
Rich stain and tough polyurethane protection in one. Polyshade by Minwax. Get a beautiful finish in half the time. A finish to be proud of. Polyshades by Minwax.
I'm Harry Smith. Tomorrow, Mark Grace, one of the young new leaders of the Chicago Cubs. Also, Susan Sarandon from the movie Bull Durham on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.
Coming up on Eyewitness News, the FBI captures the last two Kentucky State Penitentiary escapees just south of the border today. We'll have a report. A missing police captain from Sweetwater, Tennessee was found early this morning in the trunk of his car. Those stories and National Nudists Weekend. Eyewitness News is next.
We share the spirit on
From Nashville's news station, this is Eyewitness News.